God can absolutely tell you who your husband is. Now, I'm not saying he will for everybody, but I am saying that the Bible does say we have not because we ask not. And I asked, okay? And here's what happened. So when I was younger, I always heard this cute story from my mom and dad. They were high school sweethearts. My mom always talked about how they were in the cafeteria and she seen my dad and she heard the Lord tell her that he would be her husband. And her response was, well, you better make him taller. And that was just always such a cute story to hear growing up. My parents have a really good relationship. They always have, and they are still together. I love them. But it was always kind of like a goals kind of relationship, you know? And when I would hear this story, I decided like, hey, if my mom found out who her husband was, why not? Let me just ask Jesus if he will tell me the same. So I definitely had prayed that. I didn't necessarily know if it was going to happen, but God definitely did tell me. So I was in the Navy and I was stationed out in Washington State. My now husband at the time was also stationed at Washington State, but he was in the Marine Corps. Actually, we didn't know each other at all, but we didn't work together or anything like that. He was around, but didn't meet him. You get it. So anyways, when I was out there, I was hitting my 2-year mark while I was there, and that's about the time when you would get, you know, the chance to pick new orders and go to another place. I was really hoping for overseas. I wanted like Italy or Germany or Greece or whatever. And I walk in this day that I get to pick my orders finally. I've been waiting on it, all bright-eyed and bushy-tail, and they're like, oh, hey, by the way, no, every sailor and Marine are going to be staying for the next 2 years. And I was like, what? So that pretty much like killed me. No, but seriously though, it really sucked and I did not want to be there anymore. But thank you God that I stayed, because just a little longer and I found my now husband. So how did it happen? When we were out, about to go on post, there's this one building that basically houses the sailors and the Marines who are out there. So we're around the other side like all the time. We do work together, but not together, if that makes any sense. But anywho, so my husband at the time didn't know him, and we're both walking down this hall, and we literally go around the corner at the exact same time, and we smack dead into each other. I'm talking like a movie, y'all, like into each other. And all I remember saying is like, oh, sorry, you know, like he said sorry too. I looked up at him for a second, and as we like maneuvered out of each other's way. So anyways, from this point is I literally smack into this gorgeous tall Marine, and I'm just like, oh, hello, you know, like, excuse me, sorry, you know, and we kind of do like an awkward dance around each other and we go on. And all I remember thinking is, wow, he was really cute. And then that was it. Left my brain. Didn't think about it. He didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. Didn't see him again. Like, it was just like, okay. And I just, now knowing, I just picture God like just, like, what? Like, you've been praying for him your whole stinking life. I literally had you run into him and you didn't even notice. So that's pretty much what happened. About a month, maybe 2 months later, I went home on leave. And this is where it all kind of began. So when I was home, I was on Facebook, and I seen in like the people you may know or whatever, this flat out gorgeous man. And I didn't recognize him as the man that I ran into, by the way. I just recognized that he was stinking gorgeous, and I wanted to look at his page. So I did. And I was creeping on him, and it was great. I was looking at his profile pictures, and it was all him for like the first couple, and then like 3 back maybe or something like that, it was him and this girl. And I was like, oh, darn. Okay, well, he's probably taken. I mean, it would make sense. Like, he's gorgeous. So, you know, that's kind of what I assumed. So I got off of his page. And as I did, I'll never forget it, I heard audibly, for the first time, heard the Lord audibly speak to me, and he said, go back, he will be your husband. And I was like, what? Like, I'm serious. I don't even know that I reacted to the fact that I heard it audibly as much as it was so shocking, like, wait a minute, I know that was God, and I know you just said, that's my husband? Like, that's what I was thinking of the most. And so I went back, and I was like, well, you know, the girl's like 3 profile pictures back. That could be years, you know? Well, you never know. And so I go and I message him. I told him he was a handsome man or something like that, or whatever. And he commented back to me pretty much immediately. And then he asked me, what was it? I gave him my number. He asked me for my number. I gave it to him, and he was like, you should text me. And I was like, I'm the girl. And I had him text me. So I let him know I was interested. But then I brought it back, and I was like, I'm still the girl. You just do your thing now, you know? So anywho, that literally, it wasn't until our first date that I realized and recognized in him too that we ran into each other that day. He literally took me out. It was like a double date with our friends, and we went to a gun store, which, you know, I'm in the military. I love guns, so it was fun. And then he also took us out to eat or whatnot. And it was when we were out eating that we both like looked at each other, and we were just like, wait a minute. And it hit us that, oh my gosh, this is the man that I literally ran into. And so me and my husband have now been married for 10 years, together 11. And I'm telling you what, we are not even close to the same people that we were when we met. But even so, God knew and planned to have my husband and I meet. By the way, he is from Connecticut, and I'm from Ohio. And we were in Washington State when we met. Like, your soulmate, your person destined by God could literally be anywhere, and God will make it happen when it's time to happen. But I just want to get on here and encourage somebody that, listen, I love the fact that God was so good, and he knew my heart, and he knew that I wanted to find who my person was, and he told me. I asked him. The Bible clearly tells us you have not because you ask not. So if you want to know and you don't know who your person is, I would seriously just like to encourage you, one, if you're in your single time, to just spend that time with God. Get yourself to be the person that God would want your godly spouse to be with. And you just have faith and know that God is working on your spouse too. And let me just tell you, like I said, we're totally different people now. We knew of God. We didn't know God, I would say, probably at this time. We went through a lot. We went through tons. It was not all peachy and beautiful every moment. Pretty much everything that could happen in a relationship has happened in our relationship. And the fact is that God can restore anything. If it is a relationship that is literally destined for you, a relationship that God handpicked for you, then nothing can pull it apart. So if you're still waiting for that person, just know God knows your heart. He hears your prayers, and he is going to deliver when the time is right. So just keep yourself looking at Jesus, getting to know the Lord.